Me a co-host. Okay.
Salam, dear brothers and sisters. Thank you so much for being here today. I pray to our beloved Swami uh, so that today we can complete this presentation. We won't drag to next week. Now let's move on. Since we've been doing this for 3 weeks now, perhaps it's good to just go through the questions. We'll start off with the questions. So the questions were, how does turning the mind within lead to peace and harmony in the world outside? How does turning the mind within lead to the peace and harmony in the world outside? And what are the ways in which we can experience Swami's revelation that each one of us is Chit Ananda, namely existence, consciousness, and bliss? So basically, first 2 weeks, what we did, the first week we really delved into the deeper understanding of what is Satchit Ananda and how can we fully understand this term, and that is our true nature. And then subsequently, we moved from understanding the terminology. Then we started to identify the problems. What are the problems which keep us or stand between ourselves, the current self, the small s, and from discovering our true self, which is the big S. So what are the problems? So we identified a few of the obstacles in our second part, the second week. Now we'll move on to the third part. The third part is very simple. Now, how can we sublimate our desires? How can we work with our desires? So it's easier said than done. Sometimes we need to work on the lower desires in order for us to move upwards. And if a very good example would be if you go to somebody in Palestine who's actually in the midst of war and who's even struggling to get food on their table, you talk about spirituality to them and you talk about like sitting down doing meditation or bhajans or things like that, when survival is uh, of the paramount importance at that particular moment, what do you think they will do? Of course, they will focus on surviving first, life first. So in order, so this is also a form of desire. A very good talk by Swami Sarvapriyananda from the Vedanta Institution of New York. He says that in one of his talk titled The Self, uh, he says, why is it that the mind has something or has the sense of resistance to the disintegration of the body? Whenever you feel ill, you suddenly have the sense of resistance, this sense of something is wrong. When this, just a minor paper cut can really spoil your entire day. Every time you have the sensation, the pain in between both your fingers, you're constantly reminded of, I need to do something about it. I need to do something about it. So why there is this sense of wanting to survive, or there's something, as in there's something wrong with the disintegration of the body. So this is something that we should inquire deeply into and understand, why is there an issue with this. If we are really deeply rooted in the understanding that I am Satchit Ananda, this is not my body, this is not my mind, then why is there the sense of restlessness whenever we fall ill, whenever we have um, illnesses, or whenever things don't fall into our own way of how we want things to work out for us? So this is because of the ignorance which we actually covered in part 2. In the one of these talk titled OMS, Oh My Sai, I think it's the fourth or fifth episode. I can't accurately remember which episode was it. But there's a very good story shared by one of the brothers. The story went like this. So Bhagavan was actually visiting a few places, and there was this one Sevadal who really wanted to care for Swami. He really wanted to meet Swami, and he was, really putting a lot of effort to be in the presence of Bhagavan. And long story cut short, finally, eventually, he has been praying and praying and praying, and Swami happens to come to that particular place, and he happened to be that particular Sevadal who was in charge, and he was helping to sort things out, and he wanted to, when Swami wanted to get into the car to move from that particular location to another location, because his immense sense of love for Swami, and he's been really praying for few weeks already. He actually escorted Swami all the way until Swami got into the car, and then he wanted to. Once Swami entered into the car, he closed the door for Swami. He shut the door, and Swami was sitting in the car. And then the driver. So uh, this story was narrated by the driver who drove Swami. So once after the Sevadal shut the door, Swami was inside. Swami is just, cool and, keeping quiet. And we don't know what was his state at that time, but he looks like it's just normal, he's cool. So then this driver moved from the particular location, drove the car away for about 10 to 10 minutes plus. And then Swami asked the driver to stop the car and move to the side. And the driver was a bit like shocked. Why suddenly, very rare that Swami asked to stop the car in the middle. And then Swami opened the door and he removed his baby toe, his small toe, the fifth toe, from the door. So all the while, the Sevaral actually shut the door with Swami's toe in between the door and the, how painful it must have been if it was any one of us. What kind of pain would we have been able to even bear that pain for even 1 minute or 2 minutes? This for 10 minutes, Swami had bared the pain. And when the driver asked Swami, why, Swami, why didn't you just ask me to stop the car immediately after that? Then Swami said, the compassionate Bhagavan said that, if let's say if Swami had reacted as such at that very moment, everyone would have noticed that that Sevadal who actually with all love, escorted Swami and closed the door for Swami and all, everybody would have blamed that Sevadal. Everybody would have said that he's a careless person and is not mindful enough. How could he have done something to their beloved Lord? So Swami said that that is not the right thing for, Swami doesn't will that to happen for that particular person. Look at Bhagavan's compassion. Look at where he is. And the driver proceeded to ask Swami, didn't you feel the pain, Bhagavan? Then Swami said that, of course I felt the pain, but he was not affected by it. So similarly, we should all strive to towards disidentifying ourselves with that body. We may or may not be able to do it, completely in this lifetime to that extent. And I'm not sure if there's even a need to go to that extent if we were to seek liberation. But we should, of course, work towards that. And Swami is a wonderful example, and that particular story especially is a wonderful example of how we can detach from our body. To what extent can we do so? Even Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he too had throat cancer towards the end, and how he was able to uh, still be free and continue his lecture and things like that. Sarva Priyananda mentions in a lot of his lectures that when Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was at the late stage of his cancer, and everybody knew that, he was, people made the assumption that he was suffering and he could not give lectures the way he used to in the past and whatnot. Then there was this one novice monk who just came to the gut of the ashram. And one day he went to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and said, and told him, how come you don't seem like you're affected by the cancer? And Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said in Bengali that, oh my God, this rascal has caught me. He knows that I'm not affected by it. So similarly, you see all the sages and saints have reached to a stage. Even Ramana Maharishi, multiple times his limbs were infected, and even rodents would actually feast from it. So this disidentifying with the body starts right now, dear brothers and sisters. We have to work towards that. So now let's move to how can we sublimate our desires. So we have learned about such our true nature. We have learned about what's stopping us from realizing our true self. Now we give you practical tips on how we can work towards that. So let's start off by using watching this video on pratyahara.
Fold path of yoga. In eightfold path of yoga, first four steps, that is yama, niyama, asana and pranayama. These four steps are called as bahiranga yoga, external yoga. Now there is a fifth step which is called as pratyahara. The word itself says prati aru, going towards yourself, is very, very clear. This fifth step tells you that external world is what it is. We are dealing with external world, our body, our mind. Now to come to mind, which is a subtle thing, we need to control our sensory organs, indriyanam. All our sensory organs, 5 Gyanendriyas and 5 Karmendriyas, organs of action, organs of perception. These things which are totally external, they are showing you the outside world. Now when they start showing you the inner world, then things are very different. Now inner world is nothing else but replica of the outside world. They say pindam brahmandam. This whole pind has the entire universe within you. Whatever you have seen, whatever you have heard, whatever you have thought about, all that is there in our mind, which is inward. Mind has to be understood. And so, to go to mind, stop seeing the external world for some time, go inwards. Swa Vishaya Samprayoge Chittasya Swarupa Eva Indriyanam is Pratyahara. Now, to understand this, maybe understand the tortoise. The tortoise is walking in the world, but suddenly when tortoise finds there is some danger, somebody touches tortoise, tortoise pulls all his limbs inside and he is protected. When external world is bothering you, you should try and go inwards and be peaceful, because inner world also is there with you, which is much, much more richer world, and you will really feel peaceful, quiet and healthy. This Pratyahara technique works wonders. It really, really helps us to understand our own state of mind. It understands to become from gross to subtle. I give you one example. We in the house do puja. We bring flowers, we bring incense stick, we do puja, arti and all that. While doing puja, the purpose is to remember God. Now this is at a gross level, bhautik level. Now we go internal. In our mind also we can do the puja, so that we learn to become subtle. So close your eyes and understand that you are picking up flower, you are putting it in front of statue, you are doing arti, you are remembering God's name. All that could be done without external things. And once person starts doing such things with himself, with his mind, with clarity that I should remember God and be tuned with God, all those external problems would be settled down. I would tell you that internal world is your world. Why can't you be more with your internal world? Sometimes, once in a while, to understand that there is no point in getting attached to the external world because it is nothing else but place of pain and suffering, which wise people say. So, pratyahara is a link between external and internal. So, once person goes internal, all the external irritations, pain, and suffering is taken care of. Internally is your world, and you can do what you want to do with your world. And this would show you lots of miracles, lots of blissful state, and then lots of clarity. So let's try and live life from external to internal and follow this step, pratyahara. It's like a technique. Very often, the technique in pratyahara is that we close all our sensory organs, which we call as yoni mudra. So try and see that your eyes are closed, your nose is open just to breathe, but from smell it is closed. You are not speaking, only sense is there, that is closed. Ears are closed. So automatically all these sensory organs which are feeding you from outside world is closed. And there you remain in that state for some time, only focus on your breath. Very good technique. It is called as yoni mudra. Yoni going towards your womb, towards yourself. This technique should be done 10 to 15 minutes to half an hour. And this technique would really help you to go internal. And then without even the support of hand, you could just sit and follow the internal world. Practice and you will definitely benefit. Namaskar.
Sairam. So, Dr. Hassanji is a very famous yoga teacher, and it's wonderful to listen to her yoga teachings, and all the sciences as well, sciences behind that, the significance behind that as well. So it's not purely just, spiritual, but she tends to mix the science behind it and give a very good explanation. So she gave a few tips on how we can withdraw our senses and go within ourselves. And it reminds me of this wonderful saying Swami always says, in the podcast that uh, they have on Spotify, if I'm not mistaken. Swami always, the podcast starts with Swami saying something like, uh, "Don't look outside; it's all pieces. Look inside, you find peace." Or he said, "Look inside. If you want peace, look inside. Outside is all pieces." No, which makes a lot of sense. Is the moment we actually attach to the external world, the sense is moving outwards. But but what happens is the moment you shut off the senses, your attention moves inwards, and you don't have to necessarily do the yoni mudra. But if you just practice basic meditation, or even during bhajan, sometimes after bhajans during the silent sitting, you're able to direct your senses inwards as well. Uh, so we need to learn how to practice to direct our senses inwards. So the more we direct our senses inwards, the lesser we get attached to the stimulation which comes from the external world. So we can live in a more equanimous state rather than being attached with a lot of stimulation which comes throughout the entire day, and energy keeps on moving here and there, transferring from this place to that place, and attention seems to be fleeting. So it is said that you know be controlled by the purity of mind acquired through discrimination and dispassion. So basically, pratyahara means you need to work through discrimination and dispassion for you to be able to come to an equanimous state or train the mind to be in an equanimous state. So whatever comes your way doesn't affect you much. Now we see how we can turn our attention inwards, because part of it is the problem seems to lie in the sense of the mind getting attached to things. One way is withdrawal of senses, and that is of course pratyahara. And how can we, emphasize more on this particular technique, or is there any other way that we can employ in order for us to reach that state of sense withdrawal? Just before we play this video, I'm reminded of this one talk where J. Krishnamurti, he usually has this. He's a very radical person. His thoughts are, sometimes a bit disturbing for many. But when he spoke about the origin of desire, he said that the origin of desire is the attachment of mind to sensations. The moment the mind interprets the sensation, whatever sensation you're feeling, the body or any form of sense through your sense organ, and the mind attaches to it, that is the origin of desire. So now let's move on. A lot of people say we need to turn attention inwards. So how do we actually turn our attention inwards? Let's watch this video, and hopefully this video will shed some light into how we can turn our attention inwards, and maybe shed some light into the benefits of meditation itself.
We are a consequence of a certain phenomenal happening that we call as cosmos.
All masters say, go turn inwards, turn your indriyas inwards, travel inwards, seek yourself within. Some practical suggestions of how one goes about this.
So, I don't know what somebody else is saying, because as I told you, my main sadhana has been to remain uneducated and uninfluenced by anything around me. Is it true that who you are today as a physical entity happened to you from outside? Is it true? I think many of you have been constantly attending spiritual discourses, that's why you learned this. It doesn't matter what ridiculous stuff I ask, you'll say. Training, spiritual discourse training. Whatever they say. Is it true that you created your body from outside? Is it true? They're saying yes, what is the problem? Did you create this body from inside or outside? From inside. So the source of creation is within. When the body was this small also, it was there, now also it's there, isn't it? So why is it that you're not in touch with it? It is very simple, as we went through this already, your sense organs are outward bound, that's the reason. You need to understand this. Suppose as a child, you were lost in the jungle, no contact with any other human being, and something edible came in front of you, would you take it and stuff it into your ears? Tell me yes or no? No. You would know where to put it. No training. Your mother did not tell you how to eat, but still would you know where to put it? Yes. So all the things that concern your survival process, nobody need to teach you. Anyway, it is built into the system. Anything beyond survival, if you have to know, then you need striving. Do you remember when you're 4 or 5 years of age, just to write A, B, C, how complicated it was? That damn A, you had to write it 100 times to get it right, isn't it so? Do you remember? Just A, 3 lines. How complex it looked to you at that time. Today if I ask you to write without thinking, without even a thought on your mind, you can just write. Why? Because of the striving that you put in there, isn't it? If that striving was not there, even today your condition would be same, isn't it so? To put those 3 lines, you would still struggle. So you need to understand this, anything beyond survival process will not yield to you unless you strive for it. Now, the question that you're asking is, can you give me some tips here, how to turn inward? Yes, I can give you tips, but obviously you're already a veteran, you've been to many places, you've heard many people, and it's not worked. Do you want this place also not to work for you? Are you determined about that? No. If that is so, don't ask for suggestions. I don't give any suggestions to anybody nor advices to anybody. There are methods. If you explore these methods, you will naturally turn inward. Instead of going through a process, you are trying to intellectualize everything. It's like this. Somebody wrote, see all the spiritual books that you read, if you're reading them, it's a sure way to see that you will never be spiritual. Yes, because you will know all the jargon, but nothing will happen within you. Because you will intellectualize everything. Everything, what should have been a living experience, you will make it into knowledge. That's not going to work. So there are simple methods. Now, what we are offering as inner engineering is essentially this. If you give me 28 hours of focused time, your time, if you give me 26 to 28 hours of focused time, I will build a vehicle for you, which will naturally transport you inward. But you want it today evening, turn inward. Slogan, it's not going to work.
Okay, so this video is not meant to promote anything, but not to promote the inner engineering or anything like that. But even if you go through the inner engineering course, it's basically saying the same thing. Turn your attention inwards, turn around your senses. And the way to do it, the easiest way to do it is just to be silent. You know, the easiest way is just to be silent and focus on your breath and just work on your attention and concentration. The longer you're able to do it, the better you get at it. And if you ask most of the spiritual masters, they'll tell you the same thing. You just need to withdraw your senses. If any one of you have actually been through an operation, you know, like during a cesarean or where you need a general anesthesia, you will realize that there will come a point where your senses are all withdrawn and you go back to a state of no experience at all. So similarly, you are able to do that every day, all the time, if you practice meditation or any form of practice which guides your attention inwards. So now let's move to the answers from our participants who joined the other day. What are the ways in which we can experience Swami's revelation that each of us is Chit, Ananda, namely existence, consciousness, and bliss? Sister Shanta, are you here?
Yes,
Or
yes,
Sister? Okay,
yes,
Sairam,
Saira.
Sister Sairam. Are you able to read your answer and explain a bit, Sister?
Yeah. Answer is, you have forgotten this truth and remember it now and take the holy name. That is chanting of Namasmarana, chanting the holy name. Sadhana, meditation will lead us to this. What we do every day, sadhana or meditation or of chanting. When we go on practicing this, our mind gets purified and then we can experience this reality. When I do meditation, I experience peace. You are conscious of the fact that I feel peace. That is, when I do this meditation and do the chanting, I feel peace inside. So that can, in a day-to-day life, when I experience peace, that can lead to other, I mean, to worldly peace also. I can, when I deal with people, that peace will be visible, and with the peace I can experience and they will also experience it. Saira.
Right, thank you, Sister Shanta. Just a follow-up question, Sister Shanta. When you're doing the sadhana and meditation, do you think that your senses are actually external, is going outwards, or it's moving inwards within yourself?
When I'm doing it, I feel it's internal.
Yes.
I
Thank you,
feel it
sister.
inside me.
Thank you. So this is one of the ways how we can turn our senses inwards. Now let's move to Sister Dana. Sister Dana, are you here? Saram, Sister Dana? Okay, she's not here. So what Sister Dana said is, to remind ourselves of our true nature, our Atman is ever existing, even though we change body in every world and life. When we do this sadhana, we are tapping into bliss consciousness, which eventually leads to equanimity. Time to time, I'm able to get into this state, bringing back the thoughts whenever possible. So what Sister Dana mentions is that the constant remembrance of our true nature. Swami, there's this one clip of Swami saying, "Who am I? Who am I? Who am I?" It's on, reiterating, "Who am I? Who am I? I am God. I am God. I am God." And the five affirmations Brother Billy always reads prior to our satsang. So these are all ways how we can remind ourselves of our true nature. Or even if we practice uh, inquiry, okay, if we practice inquiry, we can also ask to whom does this uh, experience occur to. And once you're able to locate, or if there's no location and that there's feeling of I am, then just stay in that presence and keep on going like that. And then Sister Komal, are you here, Sister Komal? Okay. So what Sister Komal mentioned, frequent reminding of ourselves that we are God and practicing to reassure that others are also the manifestation of the divine. We need to pause and think before we proceed into an argument. Regular chanting and meditation was able to we are able to focus on the inner self, surrendering to whom allows me to realize my true nature. So Sister Komal says the few things that Sister Komal mentioned. The first is, of course, the fact that we need to remind ourselves that we are God in the first place, in the manifestation of divine, not only ourselves, but everyone around us, even the superior who doesn't seem to like us, or the neighbor who seems to park in our parking spot and always obstruct our parking and we want to rush out to work, or even our friend or people who have done ill to us. We somehow or other need to train our mind to view everything as the manifestation of the Lord. And for that, we need to practice our sadhana, which is either meditation, bhajans, or whichever sadhana which makes the most connection with you. And we need to pause and think before we proceed into an argument or any scenario or situation where we can actually lose our cool. Swami has mentioned so many times that the moment you get angry, what happens is you lose a lot of your positive energy and your mind actually gets affected. A lot of people don't realize is that the moment they get angry, uh, it is you who suffer. It is always you who suffer because it is you who's getting angry. It is, you let them get angry. It's okay if they want to get angry. It's up to them. But the moment you get angry, it means that your mind your mind is restless and your mind is angry and is projected as a manifestation of the behavior of you acting out that particular anger. And what happens after that anger? What happens after that? The moment you're done with the anger, how about you sit down and close your eyes and just observe your mind and see how you feel internally. And then you will know the next time, is it worth to even get angry? Working in psychiatry has taught me a lot about how people get angry. Every single day I see people get angry in the room, in my clinic. All the time people get angry. People cry, people get angry, all the kind of emotions. But ultimately, anger is a very difficult emotion because the moment they get angry, your ego tends to internalize their anger. They project their anger upon you, and your ego will tend to harp on that anger and internalize the anger. And when that happens, you tend to get angry as well because the ego identifies to that anger, whatever the person says. But the moment you practice your sadhana, the moment you focus on meditation or service or detachment and deep inquiries, you realize just by asking a simple question, who feels this anger? You know, who actually feels this anger within yourself? And what do I experience right now when you're feeling angry? You know? So the moment and what is it within you that actually feels this anger? Is it you who's really angry? The Sachit Ananda? Can Sachit Ananda get angry? Or what is it that is manifesting this anger right now? So is it the mind? So then you go into a deep inquiry of understanding anger itself. So we can go on and talking about emotions, but we need to move on. So sister also mentioned about surrendering to him, allows her to realize her true nature. Sometimes we may be carrying baggages from our past, baggages from our past marriage, our past relationships, past workplace, toxic environments, toxic neighbors, blah blah blah. So many baggage we're carrying from not only this life, but the vasanas that we've been carrying from our past lives also, all a form of baggages as well. So by surrendering all to him, meaning that when that problem is there within you, the moment you surrender to him and you make that decision, ultimately things will fall within line and you're able to let go of it, and just ease that burden. So in Satya Sai Speaks, Volume 20, 1987, Swami mentions that dhyana is the highest stage. Uh, Dhyana in its higher stage is oneness with the object of meditation. So there is nothing other than Atma in that state. If the mind deviates from its aim, even for a second, by the intrusion of some thought, dhyana is interrupted. So this is, of course, the stage of concentration in order for us to reach that stage of total absorption. Total absorption is when you lose body consciousness and there's only oneness which exists. The sense of the individual, the small I is no longer there. There's only the feeling of oneness with the entire universe. And that is one of the ways how we can realize our true state through meditation. Then Swami goes on to say that is why the Lord declares that nothing other than Atma should be allowed to crop up in the mind during meditation. So during meditation, it is important that once we are able to work on attention and concentration, then moving to contemplation and finally meditation state. So when we move from attention concentration to contemplation, then we should contemplate on our true nature. What is our true nature? And contemplation and the same step can also be applied when we chant the Gayatri mantra. When we chant the level of concentration, when we chant in the level of contemplation, And ultimately, when we are completely absorbed in the particular mantra and what it brings, and the deeper significance which comes from contemplation, ultimately complete absorption in just that very essence of the mantra itself. So we move on to why is this important? Why is, we have so many friends who work with us in our office, our neighbors. We don't see people sitting down and wanting to find out their true nature. Oh, this is my true nature. I need to find out ways how to work on my pratyahara and, what are my obstacles and working on them. We don't commonly come across people like that. So why is it important for us to understand what is the significance of knowing your true state? Is it okay if I die not knowing my true state? Or is it okay if let's leave the true state for the next life and the following lives and all that. Now let's just enjoy this life. So let's listen to what Swami Sarvapriyananda says about why Ananda, why is it important for us to achieve this state? Why is it important for us to realize our true nature?
Sir, yes.
Swamiji, thank you. I am Komal Prasad. I am a neurosurgeon.
Yes.
Basically, my original interest was to find myself, and that's my area where I explored was through neurosurgery. And to extend this, I have physically seen all parts of the brain, and there is nothing which we can see as a substrate of consciousness anywhere in the brain. So that's something. And
Yes.
and basically I'm an Advaitin. So I try to teach Advaita in whatever possible way. And your way of approaching logically is something very interesting and which is easy to make the appeal to the people. Where I get stuck is about explaining Ananda. Like Sat and Chit is something which is easy and it is logically explainable. What was the need to bring in Ananda?
Ananda, yes.
How to take it to in a logical way to create an appeal of the need for Ananda.
Yes. I'll make an observation about that. And then we'll take one more question and wrap it up because we are running out of time. We have run out of time. But all of these are really good questions. And, there's a word in Sanskrit, rasik. Rasika means a person who enjoys the rasa. So you enjoy the rasa of Advaita. To be in a group like that, it's very enjoyable. One feels one can go on and on. But I won't, I promise. People are beginning to look horrified. Yes. Before I talk about the Ananda aspect, the neuroscience, it's good that we are in a very exciting new time for neuroscience and for consciousness studies. Right now, consciousness studies is booming. One of the leading consciousness studies, this brain scientist, Christoph Koch. So I remember he was in a debate with David Chalmers, and I attended that debate, and it ended with, I think, one of them, maybe David Chalmers, pouring a glass of water on top of Christoph Koch in humor. But Christoph Koch said that when I entered this field, consciousness studies, my colleagues told me, you are killing your career. This will never go anywhere. Nobody, you cannot make any discovery. It is a too ambitious a subject. But now you see, it's a hot subject. It's really, people are very interested in it. Ananda aspect. Yes. Often when I speak, some people notice after some time, you're talking about Sat and Chit. You talk about existence awareness. What about Ananda? When will I be happy? And why bring in Ananda at all? Why bring in Ananda at all? Recently it struck me, one answer to your question, it struck me, the three greatest questions in philosophy, all of philosophy, three greatest, the branches of philosophy, the mainstream branches of philosophy, metaphysics, now it is known as ontology. They deal with the question of what is real. What's real? What's the ultimate reality? Second question, second branch of philosophy, epistemology, which deals with the question, how do we know anything at all? And the third question, meaning, purpose, goodness, morals, ethics, beauty, all of these. Earlier there was ethics, there was aesthetics, all of them are now been put together under one branch called axiology. So three branches, philosophy is covered in three branches, ontology, epistemology and axiology. Reality, knowledge, values. And now I think some of you are beginning to get it. Sat, Chit, Ananda. What is ultimately real? Sat, pure being. How is any experience, any knowledge, anything knowable at all possible? Chit, because it is consciousness. What is the point of life? What is the value of life? What good is it? What is the purpose, goal? Ananda. And the Advaita, in the tremendous breakthrough is this Sat and this Chit and this Ananda are one and the same thing. And that is you. You are the reality of this universe. You are the light of this universe. And you are the goal, purpose, and value of this universe. You, each of us. A tremendous discovery. Now, where is this Ananda? What are we talking about? Here is the thing. When we say Ananda, immediately it comes to our mind, smiley face. Fun. I must be having fun. Advaita is not fun. Where is this Ananda? But when we speak about Ananda, we don't mean any particular feeling. Just as when I speak about Sat, existence, I don't mean any particular existing thing. That's why I think, for all the dangers, Shunyavada Buddhism is a strong corrective to Advaita Vedanta. They seem to be totally opposite. When you study them, you find them eerily similar and yet opposite. One is talking about infinite existence, Brahman. Other one is talking about complete emptiness. I'll tell you something that may be shocking to you. You search for the Atman, search for Brahman, you'll never find anything. Never. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. Swami, you're cheating us all this time. Long talk. Listen to what I said carefully. There is no such thing. Okay, there's nothing. No, not nothing. See, things, existing things are one level of reality. But existence itself is a deeper level of reality. What I mean by saying there is no such thing as Atman Brahman, I mean that Atman Brahman is not a thing. You can count the things in this universe, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on, millions and billions, and then you will come to plus one Atman, inventory, I've completed inventory. Brahman has been found. No, you will never find Brahman that way. Because Sat, pure being, existence, is not a thing among existing things. 1. 2. Consciousness, awareness, Chaitanya. It is not one type of conscious experience. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, waking, dreaming, deep sleep. And then one more thing, pure consciousness. You say, Swami, I just caught you now. Upanishad says, waking, dreaming, deep sleep, Turiya. Gross misunderstanding of Advaita Vedanta. Gross misunderstanding. Turiya is not one more state. It is the reality of these three states. Gold is not another kind of ornament. It is the reality of all these golden ornaments. Which is more real? Don't say ornament. Gold is more real. So, Chit, consciousness, is not another type of conscious experience. Now take up Ananda. What kind of Ananda? So some joy, more joy, tremendous joy, and beyond that Ananda, Swami? No. What is joy? Greater joy, greatest joy? Priya, Moda, Pramoda, all these Upanishadic terms. All of them are manifestations of one reality. That is Ananda. But Ananda by itself is not a particular, what Americans would say, particular high. They all seeking a high, new high. Marijuana gives one type of high, and Vedanta will give another type of high. No, it's not another high. It's not a high or a low. That which underlies all your highs and lows. Shankaracharya says, there is an ocean of bliss within us. The spray, just the spray, the droplets of water, the spray from which All of humanity is madly running after life after life. The entire ocean is within you means it is you. That is Ananda, not a particular type of bliss. Just as Sat being is not a particular existing thing, Chit is not particular type of experience. All experiences are possible because of Chit. All existing things, smallest to biggest, is possible because of Sat. And all value, purpose, goodness, beauty in life, all fulfillment is possible because of Ananda. Still, the question will be nagging. So when I realize I am Brahman, Satchidanand, I will not feel happy. That is my whole goal. You don't have to worry about that. You will feel very happy, guaranteed. Just look at the lives of enlightened people. Look at their faces. Any tradition you find, I'm not talking only about Advaita Vedanta here. Whether it is a devotional tradition, whether it's a Vedanta tradition, enlightened people in every spiritual people in every spiritual tradition are very, very happy, very fulfilled, the happiest and most fulfilled in all of life. Some people ask, all this is great, but it sounds very boring. After I realize I'm Brahman, it's finished. No, it's finished. Very boring. No, it's not boring. Proof. Look at the lives of those who have realized. Are they bored? One thing, they're never bored. They're always bubbling with fresh enthusiasm, happiness. If you take a psychological test of those people, they will come out as off the charts happy. Off the charts happy. Yeah. So underlying all of this, the implication is non-attachment to forms, ideas, feelings. Yes, it's right. The question is, so is this the implication that non-attachment to forms, ideas, in our psyche we attach it to this way? So isn't this the implication of what you are saying? Absolutely. Remember what I said, that at the level of mind, this samatha, seeing the same everywhere. At the level of our activities, day-to-day dealings with the world, detachment. Yeah, that's the implication. And if you practice it from that side, the path to realization become much faster, much more clear. Non-identification. Because in your real nature, you are not identified with anything. Good. I think that's a wonderful discussion. Let me do a...
Okay, thank you so much. So it's a wonderful eye-opening talk by Swami Sarvapriyananda on the importance of actually realizing our true self, and why is there a need for us to realize our true self? Because the amount of bliss that it can give us, and the amount of satisfaction that we have. The other day while I was driving to work, I was actually in contemplation of this term of Satchit Ananda, and the other day, I think during the Sri Lanka conference, Dr. Narendranath Reddy mentioned about 10 to the power of 8 quintillion of ecstasy or bliss that one is supposed to feel, or one can experience through the Upanishad. And then the next thought which came is like, how many of us in the Sai fraternity actually experience that? And then the following thought was, is it necessary for us to experience that at this very moment? And even if we do so, what is that the ultimate goal of experiencing such bliss? Does it end there, or is there a greater bliss from there? And where does it end? And where can, so then we start thinking of what is the need for us to achieve that level of bliss? Why is then the next thought is, why is my life so unhappy that, or is my suffering too great, or am I not handling my suffering well enough that I need that kind of bliss in my life? Then when I reflected, I think things are going on pretty okay. because I meditate regularly, I do my sadhanas and whatnot. I don't, perhaps that is the reason why I honestly don't feel that that is something that I want to, strive to achieve. But of course, liberation and ending this cycle of birth, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, this ending this, of course, this is something that we all strive for. But to achieve something greater and greater and greater, and it keeps me thinking, like, is this also a desire to achieve a sense of bliss which is greater than now? And why do I even need that when I'm happy here? When there are ways, like when I'm connected to Swami, I can, and how do you even quantify 10 to the power of 1 or 10 to the power of 2, 10 to the power of 3 in my own experience? How do I do that? Or how can any one of us do that? Is there a way we use to quantify these levels of bliss? Is there a scientific way how we do it, or is just through experience? Because my experience and your experience may be different. For me, 10 to the power of 4, maybe 10 to the power of 3 for you. So these are some of the thoughts which came into my mind while I was just driving and contemplating on this very sense. So my basic training in meditation comes from disidentifying with your body and mind. And how I practice is that, I may be wrong, but in my experience, it has worked out quite well for me. The moment we start to work, just like Swami Sarvapriyananda mentioned, the moment we start to disidentify with ideas, with beliefs, with body, with your senses, with everything around you. It takes time, but you can start somewhere. And the more we do it through either neti is a very strong practice that you can just sit down and I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not this, and then ultimately moving to, you're not even the thought which says I am this, I am that, I'm not this, I'm that, not that. So when you keep on disidentifying with your body and your mind and continuously, making that as a practice, somewhere down the line, the realization of your true nature becomes an experiential thing rather than a knowledge thing, like what Sadhguru mentioned just now. The moment we read and we don't practice, it just goes into memory, into the hippocampus in our brain, and then it just gets stored there. And it's just in the form of memory. But the moment we start to practice it, the moment we sit down by ourselves daily and really focus into disidentifying with our thoughts and beliefs and everything around us, just for a few moments, it can be really such a liberating process itself. Because if you think about it logically, what makes you unhappy today? What actually makes you unhappy? Every single one of us who's attending the satsang, what's actually making you unhappy today? It is basic, it is 100% due. If there's any form of unhappiness, it is due to the body's association or the mind's association to other things around the external world. So if that is the case, that is the cause of unhappiness, if it's the association to the external world and things around, then just like Buddha taught, how we disidentify, Buddha has very clear ways, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. How can you disidentify with the body? How can you disidentify with the mind? And the moment you disidentify with the body and disidentify with the mind, then there will come a space in between you and this, and you enter a state of witness consciousness. And when you enter the state of witness consciousness, it's a bit difficult to explain that state because it keeps on getting deeper and deeper and deeper. It's as if it is something you should try yourself and really, no matter what falls, no matter how much difficulty comes to you, you're still able to see, not to say you're not involved, you're completely involved, but at the same time, you're also very happy that it's not you. I don't know how to explain this, but I'm really hoping that at least from this we will all take the positive and start practicing meditation or any form of sadhana that is keen to
Sir,
us.
yes.
So now we come to the final slide. Is just to sum up our presentation here. So part one, we really delve into Satchit Ananda, what's Satchit Ananda, and what's the importance of each stage, and that's our true nature. And then part two, we went to the obstacle, all the self-conceit, the egoic tendencies, the desires that we have, and the poor self-esteem that we have. These are all perhaps trepidations of the mind itself. The how these are all things that we can actually work with. We can work with all of these through various practices, through seva, through meditation, through bhajans, and other forms of spiritual practice. And once you're able to do that, then we move into how can we achieve this state. Now that I'm selling you the idea of Satchit Ananda, and I've also given you all these obstacles that we go through, and now how can we work towards that? How can we work towards experiencing our true state? Then we move into pratyahara, which is withdrawal of the senses. So if you go through Ashtanga, the 8 stages of yoga by Patanjali, then pratyahara is one of the stages. And similarly, there are other ways as well how you can turn your attention inwards, withdrawal of your senses, as Sister Komal mentioned, Sister Shanta mentioned, and Sister Dana also quite correctly mentioned the ways how we can withdraw our senses from the external world and bring your attention inside within yourself. And then finally arriving at a state of witness consciousness and realizing your true nature, that you are no separate from Bhagavan itself. And that, I think, would be the biggest birthday gift we can all give to Bhagavan, which is self-transformation, which is self-realization. We realize our true state, which is Satchit Ananda. So I end today's presentation with this quote by Bhagavan: whatever I do, it is for you, not for me. For what is it that can be called mine? Only you. Saira.
Sairam Sabbitan, thank you so much for a very elaborate and very, very extensive explanation of this particular part of the study cycle guide. Is there any question anybody like to ask? Any questions?
Just sharing what Sabbitan has said. One of them was Sakuru. He said, just give me 28 hours and then I will show you the way or something like that. Even if Sakuru, don't misunderstand what he said, 28 hours means you can achieve. I think he is saying that he will share with you the technique, but you practice don't know how many lifetime now or this lifetime now. That's what I understand now, his message. That means he got a way of showing you where you can go inward, right? That's the first thing. Second thing is, Sabbitan also brought out a point where Swami said, during meditation, nothing should crop up in the mind. Okay, nothing should crop up in the mind during meditation. Please understand, this is maybe the interpretation now. But to me, I know that Swami was talking the meditation level. If you are transcended, of course, there is no more, there's no mind and nothing will crop up. Okay, that is the very good experience of meditation. But for those who are beginner and meditator, right? during meditation, if you know the way of meditate, who am I, Soha meditation, and then a lot of people give up during the initial meditation because why? Because they always understand that, oh, meditation means no more mind, no more thoughts, no more that. But this all need to practice. So the first step is during meditation is about letting go with all the thoughts, and yet you are unmoved, you are calm. That's the first thing. Then the second thing is when you are calm and unmoved by all the thoughts, that is meditating, right? And the third one is where Swami said, no more thoughts, and that is meditation. So there are three levels. The first level, of course, very difficult because with all the thoughts, a lot of people give up very fast. The second is with all the thoughts and yet you remain calm, right? That is meditation. Meditating. The third one is totally no more thoughts, and that's meditation level. Okay. So I find that Swami made it very simple, but then sometimes you don't have the experience to understand what Swami is talking or what level he's talking. So actually, when he said nothing crop up in the mind during meditation, is actually meditation level, the highest level. Okay. Then another one was Sabbitan brought out the point. He said we are all want to achieve civilization, want to have Ananda and all that. Isn't that a desire? Well, is it a desire? It is a desire as far as I know. We are all here because we also desire to achieve something or evolve, at least know God, able to talk to God or experience God or have the true knowledge, beyond the mind, We all have all this desire. It's common, it's normal, right? And yet, we are shown all the sadhana, different kinds of sadhana to practice, so that one day we will reach a level where we don't have desire, right? And that is Ananda, right? When you work towards the highest, there's no more desire, automatic, right? So for beginner, intermediate, that you have desire, it's okay. It's okay, but in the end, there's no more desire. Silent.
So thanks, James. Thank you. Nice point. Anybody else?
Saram, Uncle, I just would like to share something in regards to meditation. After what Brother Sabbitan presented, it's a very good presentation. Just got recalled that when I attended a meditation retreat in Penang Hill, it was a Buddhist meditation retreat. So 9 days meditation retreat. It's actually Vipassana meditation in Buddhism. So when I went there, I actually felt a level of peacefulness, very intense level of peacefulness. We were we were actually meditating top of the hill, right above Penang Hill. For 9 days, all we did was just meditate, and then just have one meal a day, and then you don't talk, basically you practice silence, and all this which actually Swami has spoken about, it's just when we go there, we practice all this. So what happened was when I was meditating the fourth day around 4:30 a.m. in Penang Hill, around that time. We wake up at 3:30, we do a morning meditation, start at 3:30. So around 4:30, I actually felt a level of very high level of bliss. I was having goosebumps, and then while meditating, I was felt very elated and elevated, and then I was during the meditation, I actually didn't want to come out of the meditation. It was so intense, the level of peacefulness that I experienced there. That I came after the meditation retreat, I came back. I couldn't get, even till now, I didn't get to that level. So when Swami says that the first thing, the 9-point code of conduct, number one, he says daily prayers and meditation. I think it's really, really crucial that we should all attempt to meditate. At first it will be hard, because when I went for my first retreat under a monk from Australia, it was very tough for me. The 9 days was very tough. I couldn't adapt. But after that, my second, third retreat all went smoothly, And this level of peace that Swami is talking about is actually some people may have experienced it. I've experienced it during bhajan. Some people do experience it during namasmarana when they're chanting a lot. They get goosebumps and all that. But ultimately, Brother Sabbitan said that it's a desire that we should. I mean, it's a desire as well for the level of to get a level of bliss. I mean, it's a desire as well. But if you look at it, right, Swami says that that bliss is already in you. You are Atma Swarupa. Atma Swarupa is the level of supreme bliss. It's already in you. Your birthright is, Swami always says, your birthright is this, Your birthright is joy and happiness, not sad and sorrow and all that. It's just that for me, I think we get distracted because we are living in the materialistic world. And every time Maya is tempting us, with one thing and another, that we cannot focus on our real pursuit of this birth, which is to get enlightenment, to get that level of bliss. Hope do you get what I'm trying to say, Sarah? Sorry.
Yeah.
Sairam, I just wanted to say that Brother Sabbitan's question, that is it inquiry for self is a desire or something like that. So to that I read long time with Anil Kumar, when he said that a desire is a thing which you desire, which you don't have, something which is alien, something which is different from you. But desire to know yourself is not, because you are yourself, that existence. So this is not a desire, and to have that desire itself, it cannot be taken in a question of a desire, because it is you are searching for yourself, and you're not different from that. So that's what he said, that desire for self-realization is not a desire. Saira.
Saira.
I think through meditation you come to one-pointedness. Your mind is balanced. Whether you are happy or whether you say something good or bad, you remain the same. And you will face life. Whatever comes, you will face it with calmness and steadiness. You will come to that stage when you start meditating. You will come to that level. That's what I think. A steadiness, steadfastness. Steadiness, I think, the balanced. You're not happy, you're not sad at the same time. You can face anything at any time. You come to that level when you meditate. That's what I think that we need. Saira.
Saira, brother. I think that Brother Sabbitan's presentation was simply excellent, because it has got a lot of inputs on a particular point. But I prefer to have a simple, practical approach in order to uplift your mind, be always in a state of consciousness with the guidance of Swami. A simple thing which we have to do, particularly we, the Sai devotees, is to enamor yourself with the 5 human values. Enamor yourself. That's your treasure. And depending on your education or depending on your values, how you imbibe these values, how happy you are with it, whatever vocation you are in, whether you're a gardener or whether you're a doctor, you would have the satisfaction of being enamored in those values. The next is discipline. You work through a process of self-discipline, which is not compulsion, which is enamored with love. Now you move your day in whatever you're doing with that feeling that you are going to move your goals without getting agitated. That will come to you if you consciously work on the 5 values, because you are enamored. Enamored means every moment of time, Swami is with you. You are enamored with Swami. So there is nothing preventing you now from being lifted in the direction of the higher consciousness. You are not at lower level, you're going at a higher consciousness. So how do you feel? There's tremendous amount of satisfaction. There's a lot of peace within you, and there's a lot of grace. And when you are meeting with people, you will be able to cut corners, and you will be able to handle matters in a way that will give you the peace which you're yearning for, without a moment of agitation. This is an art which we have got to cultivate with our self-discipline. Coming to things like meditation and things like that, it is supposed to be an addition which will prompt you even further and better to a better level. That comes with your love for meditation, your belief, and your daily practice. And that practice, we have got ample opportunities with guided meditation, like the light meditation, which will give you that same feeling, the same upliftment, and the projections can be what we desire. The desire is our attachment to Swami. So I don't feel that anyone should complicate it with too much of knowledge for you to be loaded with. And then, like what somebody said earlier, you tend to intellectualize these thoughts with logic and reasoning, and you feel content, secure that you understood it. That's not the direction towards higher consciousness. That's a direction towards improving intellectual capacity. Here, if you just move with Swami along this path of being enamored with this love and compassion, and for your love for meditation, your love for whatever you're doing, if you do it as a daily practice, it will give you that momentum to reach a level. Then comes your personal experience as to whether you can see a change within you, that happiness, and you wonder whether this is an imagination or whether it's true. That is your treasure. You got to continuously work on it, and there comes a time when you feel that it's not imagination. Swami is with you. Continue with it. It's blooming. He's there. Something will tell you. You just continue with it. Continue with it. Making sure that you don't run away from these 5 values. Don't get distracted. And you are there. The path is laid. So it is practice, practice, practice with love, love, love. And the feeling improves. Sairam, brother.
Sairam. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Very nice. The last line, I think it's a fitting end to today's session. So much has been mentioned. So many different ways to look at the same thing. It's amazing to see that the path to go has been laid. It's only a question of just simplifying and practicing it and making it more relatable. So with these few words, we're almost towards the end. If there's nothing else and anyone wants to say, then we shall meet again next week. So next week, who's presenting after Sabbitan? Whose turn is it? Sorry. Sabbitan, you're in group what? 2.
I'm in group 2 now, but I think the other day group 3 did first.
It's group 4
So
now.
I'm not, yeah, if we still have group 4, I'm not sure. Do we still have group 4?
I think it's Sister Tara presenting.
Okay. Around.
Okay, Sister Tara, group 4. Okay. Next week we'll do that. Thank you, Sairam. Billy.
Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Saram. Thank you.
Hi Ram, thank you.
Ram.
Night.
Hi Ram, thank you.
Sairam, 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 thank you.